All right, let's talk about what's happening on the continent right now, and we'll focus firstly on Chad. 6 million Chadians began voting Sunday, and in an election likely to see President Idriss Deby extend his 26-year rule in a country. The elections are deemed crucial for the stability of the country, backed by the West in a war against Islamists. We've got Richard Chelin, project coordinator at the Good Governance Africa, and he joins us to talk a little bit more about Chad and another issue, that being Congo-Brazzaville, which we'll touch on a bit later. It's always good to see you, Richard. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
So we see the elections. They were held on Sunday in Chad. Give us a little bit of background on the issues that Chad is currently facing.
Well, looking at Chad, I mean, we have President Idriss Deby, who has been in power since 1990, and is planning to extend his 26-year rule at the coming elections. But looking at the candidate himself, Idriss Deby, who seems most likely to win the elections, seems to be quite an ally to the West as well, an important ally for that matter. We know that Chad is an oil-rich country and also very important in the fight against terrorism. I mean, we know Chad has Boko Haram to fight on the southern side, and then they have Al-Qaeda also that roams around in the country. And Chad also is an important partner in terms of counterterrorism against Al-Qaeda. They participate in the Operation Barkhane with the French soldiers, and also in the multinational task force which combats Boko Haram. And as we know, Chad is quite strong militarily. They proved that in Mali, where they helped the French to outcast the Islamists in 2013. And then we see that again in the fight against Boko Haram, and also in the CAR when they intervened as well.
So we see everybody going to the polls, and we know that Idriss Deby has been the president since 1990. We sit now in the year 2016, and it almost is a foregone conclusion that he is going to get another term in president, no matter how strong some of the opposition are. And I mean, we see some of those opposition, even a stalwart like Saleh Kebzabo, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, he's in the race, but it doesn't seem that way.
Yeah, it seems like almost a repeat where Kebzabo has been there before and has lost. And Deby is quite... has a popularity within his own party, as we see, and his party nominated him to stand as a candidate for elections. And also we see that in the AU, if we remember, he's the current AU chairperson who was elected by current African leaders to step in when Robert Mugabe had to step down from being a chairperson of the AU. Yeah. So he's quite favorable, not only on the African continent, internationally, but also in his own country.
Yeah, but it seems that the people in Chad are also not necessarily very happy right now, because it seems that there are a lot of issues. I mean, issues that are not necessarily foreign to us as well. High food prices, high oil prices, even though this is a very rich oil country. Fuel price hikes, day-to-day issues. There are a lot of complaints that are directed at Deby. But what's going to come of that?
Well, firstly, you do have this. I mean, remember that the oil prices have gone down in the world, and that caused, the drop in oil prices have really caused some problems in oil-producing countries, and that have affected the economy. And also there's some ethnic tensions in terms of Islamists and that are in the north, and also some fault lines that still exist within the Chadian community. And one way would be for Idriss Deby to actually, after winning the election, to try and have a consolidation and not to exclude anybody and work on these issues. Because it seems, we wouldn't want another way to go of protests turning violent or conflict resurfacing. So it will be important for the president after that, to put some effort into it.
Well, I mean, you'd think you do need change. And I mean, with the new leadership, I imagine new change comes. I mean, I'm reading shocking statistics about the fact that 7 out of 10 of the citizens in Chad cannot read or write. I mean, it's a statistic that I personally cannot understand. 7 out of 10 people living in Chad cannot read or write. And they've also got an influx of refugees from all of the neighboring countries. I mean, they said about 450,000 refugees are sitting in Chad. It's a reality that there needs to be change happening in Chad. But again, like we say, it doesn't look like it's going to happen.
Yeah, as you mentioned, quite important. It's quite concerning issues. You have Boko Haram causing havoc in the south and causing refugees from neighboring states to move into Chad. And you have also refugees from the Sudan, which has always been an issue on the border of the Sudan and Chad. So there's a whole lot of issues which means that the government really have a lot of, to face up once election is done. Yeah. And it's up to the people to, as we've seen the case happen in Burkina Faso, where it's up to the people to step up and believe that change is within themselves and not with the governments. Until such time that happens, we will see a continuously prolonged state of African leaders trying to remain in power.
When do you think results will be released?
According to the constitution of Chad, it's within 10 days, within 10 days of election. But should there be like a debate or the opposition member want to feel that there's an annulment or something, then it will be within 15 days.
All right. I just want to, we are going to wrap the interview right now, but I just want to quickly touch on what happened in Congo-Brazzaville, which you also brought up. I mean, there was an election there. Denis Sassou Nguesso was re-elected, but fighting broke out, severe fighting broke out. What's going on there?
I remember in October last year, Sassou Nguesso put forth a referendum where he removed the age limit and the age limit and the term limit so that he could stand again for re-election. Yeah. There were some demonstrations which turned violent. About 15 people were killed by police forces. And then we had the elections, which was a relatively calm period, and then fighting broke out on Monday when we have former rebel militia that started opening, there was a gunfight between...
the ninjas, apparently.
The ninjas, yes. Yeah. And if we remember well, they were one of the opposing forces in the 1997 civil war. So it's quite a concerning issue that happened in the 1997. Remember, it was about 2 years where they had to have a ceasefire, and now again we see violence resurfacing.
Flaring up in Congo-Brazzaville, and it's still happening right now.
It's still happening at the moment. Yeah.
All right, we'll hopefully get more time to talk about what's going on there, but just raising two issues that are happening on the continent. Firstly, in Chad, the elections that took place on Sunday, and we should see those results coming in within 10 days, but it really does seem as if the president now, Idriss Deby, is going to extend his 26-year rule in that country, and also what's happening in Congo-Brazzaville. Again, Richard Chelin, thank you always for coming in to chat about these issues. I promised you a bit earlier on the program